Hello YouTube! Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which I am going to show you how I use my Graspor device to do a zone test so that I get all my intensity zones that I can use for training in the future. Also, it's a really cool tool to compare how hard I push on a bike and how hard I push on my inlines, because I've done the test not just on inlines, I've done it on ice skates, on my bike, and as I run. So I can compare all those intensities and see what wattage would actually correspond to a certain speed on my inline skates, which I think is super exciting, and I hope you guys will find that interesting as well. In this video, I will also explain a bit about how I actually do this test and a little bit about the science behind the Graspor, because that's something quite revolutionary, that all of a sudden we can measure how hard our muscles are working in the middle of a workout or in a test like this that we can do anywhere and anytime on skates, which is something I've felt, I've been pretty jealous of cyclists for years now, that they got the wattage, they got the power output, so they can really measure exactly how hard they push. Whereas on inlines, all we have is a heart rate, which is very different from day to day and depends on temperatures, caffeine in the morning. There's so many other variables that can make it less precise than muscle oxygen. And now we finally got that. And I know exactly how hard I train, at what level I'm at, regardless of the weather, the wind, and what track I'm at. So today I'm in Aarhus in Denmark, a really cool track, a 200-meter track, and I'm gonna just explain from the start till the end how this actually works and how I do this test to get my different zones. So the first thing I would do is to place the sleeve on my leg. As you can see here, it's sort of hidden. It's a very light device that I don't really feel as I'm skating, but I put this on my leg here, and then that simply transmits the data onto my Garmin watch here and also onto my phone, which in this case is a little easier to share with you guys because it's a bigger screen. But as you can see here, I can now already, as we talk, see the muscle oxygen levels, and it's very easy. I'll try and be in this position for the next few seconds and you will quickly see how the number here, the percentage of muscle oxygen saturation, goes down. And I will end it here before it becomes too uncomfortable. But this is the whole idea. The lower it goes, the harder it is. And it's also a cool way to just test different positions, different techniques, and try and optimize that, because you get live, immediate feedback. So you don't have to go for an all-out test, which in this test that I'll do today is also a really nice thing. It allows me to do this more often. It allows me to combine it with another workout, so I don't have to go all out in a test. And also just to test different skating, my current level, it's way easier when you don't have to dig that deep, because this will give you the results immediately. Once I've done the test, it automatically sends it into Graspor, where the experts will return the result within 24 hours, and it really looks quite cool. I'll show you in a second how that looks, but I get all the different training zones that I have to follow to get the most out of my workouts in the future, but also gives me a precise number for my aerobic and anaerobic thresholds, and then I can, well, hopefully follow what is progress in those different zones throughout my season. So the way it works when I'm doing the actual test is that you go through, well, depending on how well you're doing, more steps at a certain speed. The Graspor device is initially made for cyclists, so the different steps are shown in wattage, but it's quite simple to just transform those into speeds when you're inline skating, for example. So all I know is that my first step, I start at 28 kilometers per hour. This is of course a super individual number. So if you're a slower skater, you will clearly start at a lower pace, but you should definitely start somewhere where it's quite simple and where you can feel like you can go on forever. Then you start the test and the phone will count down 4 minutes. Of course, it's easier if you use the watch, which I'll do. I click and I start the test, and then I know that every 4 minutes I have to increase my speeds by 2 kilometers per hour. So as in this test, I would start at 28 kilometers per hour, and then every 4 minutes I increase that by 2 kilometers per hour. Then I'll see my muscle oxygen levels afterwards that will, well, I assume show that it gets harder and harder. And then I end the test where I know I am beyond my threshold, so where I can only continue for a relatively short period of time. And then I get a nice little graph that I will send automatically to Graspor, and then they return the results to me with the different zones afterwards. So before I leave all of you, I also want to show you some of the results from my latest test, so you can see how it's delivered by Graspor, and so you can get an idea of how it actually looks when you look at it on your phone. So as you can see, there's a lot of data here, but it's also delivered in a quite simple way. You have the different zones that you can follow in your workouts. So whenever you want to practice at a fat burning intensity, this is where you gotta aim at. When you want to go for threshold training or VO2 max training, you know exactly what range of either muscle oxygen or speed or heart rate, or if you do it on a bike, wattage you would want to aim at, so you can get the most out of your training. You can also flip your phone, and then you can get some more detailed graphs where you can really see how things, go up and down as you go through this test, and also what that data is based on. And ultimately you also get the aerobic and anaerobic thresholds that you have here. And the good thing about these tests is that you can make them as often as you want, and you can do them anywhere, because you might have experienced that you go at different speeds on different surfaces, and especially different tracks. Especially for inline skaters, this is quite awesome. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some answers to the questions you may have had on either testing yourself as a skater or on the Graspor device itself. If not, you're more than welcome to click on the link in the description where you can read more about the Graspor device on their website. And if you decide to purchase one, there is also a discount code down below that you're free to use. Thanks a lot. See you for the next video. I'm Viktor Thorup.